Do whatever you want, man.
I mean, the
Trying to
one
think
back.
if I went through any fog walls yet. I guess I did. Whatever. I'll just gain
You did.
info. If it's a boss, I'll gain information.
Because you went through the one right before you met the dragon for the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Like,
There's
I'll
one
gain-
like right, like immediately as you enter the burg.
Funny as I have no idea what this is. I don't remember.
The thing that gets me is there's the thing over there. There's the bonfire over there, and then there's this one over here that's a fence with a body, but
Kai's just giving
We'll
us
figure
bad
it out.
omens.
I mean it's very likely, but again, it's information gathering. That's useful. It's useful to clip through the world.
Mm-hmm.
Look at how good this is. Masterful
Traverse the
game
white
design.
light.
Just
Is
clip
it
that
what
camera
I
through everything.
think it is. Whoa, that's weird.
Could be worse. It could be in It could be in Souls Man's head.
I think the camera just kind of broke, which is weird.
May have. I don't know. I don't stand in that doorway for that long.
That
Fuck.
guy's there. He looks kind of special, so we'll hold off on him for a sec.
Definitely looks bigger.
Good McBuff. Oh, I know
I mean,
what
he's
we
a
are.
skeleton.
Nice.
He can't be buff. So
We'll see.
they lack the necessary muscly bits. I remember Kane was like, YouTube is now trying to I was like, I look up one video on weapons, and now YouTube is sending me videos about what type of weapon a skeleton would use. And I was like, or sorry, he's like, what a real life skeleton would use as a weapon in combat, and I was like, none, because they don't have the muscly bits to be able to swing it.
Do I want to know what's going on here?
Maybe.
No.
I am playing Dark Souls, and I guess they're watching.
Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks,
What if they
Souls.
drink lots of calcium? Then they are invincible. Actually invincible.
I made a game about that once. You're just a skeleton with a shotgun, and you drink milk.
Thanks. No, that was a different guy. That guy's there. So I'm confused.
I am too.
Did I?
When are you not confused, Kai?
I'm sober today, so that should already be a good
Okay,
start.
so he should be to the right. Now he'd be behind me.
It's good enough.
I have not drank any alcohol in like a week.
So there's two different paths.
What feels like a week.
Okay, which way would most likely lead to them? That leads there, so maybe this one would lead to the bonfire more realistically. It's very mysterious. Okay. Oh, interesting. So throwing knives actually stun. That actually gives them
Yep.
a lot of value.
Ooh, that was a headshot. Yeah, that's what you're doing. It's
Oh.
headshots. Because
Is
he's
that
like
like-
leaning into them.
Maybe that's... I guess that could be the tech for these guys, maybe. Maybe headshots are more likely against them?
I think
Okay,
he's
that's
just
not
leaning
great.
into it.
I took a lot of damage there.
That's a whole lot of blood.
Change stance. Interesting. Randomly got a kick there.
Mm-hmm.
That I didn't mean to do. So I don't know. Maybe if I get back to the merchant, might invest in some throwing
Nice.
knives.
Throwing knives, I think, are mostly used as like pulling.
This is true, but I mean, if this is an effective thing against these guys specifically, that's good to keep in mind.
I'm kind of surprised that Swery's Kickstarter thing didn't just get immediately fulfilled.
Well, he's still,
What?
Kickstarter?
as much as he has a fervent fan base, he is not a well-known game creator, to be completely
Sure.
honest.
I mean,
I'd say Suda51 has a better shot, and even he's, again, still not extremely
Yeah.
well-known.
What are you talking about?
Swery has a Kickstarter for a game he's making.
The guy who made Deadly Premonition.
Yeah.
A couple other games.
D4 as well.
I mean, Kickstarter
But, like-
that, please. Holy crap.
I take it. But like the thing is that it's not like, hey, let me make a game that's exactly like this other game that I can't make anymore. You know, like Mighty Number 9 or Bloodstained was. So I guess it's just popularity. It's that, or people are fatigued from like known creators trying to put up Kickstarters for projects.
Oh,
And
there
not
you are.
Fisherman.
Still keeping your marbles all together. Think it
I
never
mean,
happened.
Bloodstained will be finished eventually.
Used to it, that really doesn't matter. Okay, but I need to get used to this move set now. Okay, have your normal attack. Okay. We have big stabby, but no, no control of the sides though. So that is.
So you want to know something you can do with spears?
help people?
Yeah,
Because
but you can also guard and attack.
God damn it.
You mean windmill spin?
So
No.
that was a case of the wall stopping me, like it wasn't letting me go around it, and then when I did go around it, I couldn't get back around it again. So that sucked.
Yeah.
That being said, didn't lose too much out of it.
But yeah, you can attack while guarding.
Knowing how spears work, I would expect you to like deflect with like a windmill technique and then slash them or some shit or poke them.
Nah, I'd expect him to just poke him.
I mean, that's halberds. You're thinking halberds.
So it looks like there's a damage reduction if you do the poke behind
In
the
what
shield.
universe do spears work like that, guy?
The way I use them.
Okay.
Saga Frontier 2. Their deflective move is windmill, and then it counters attacks. Or some shit like that.
What a video game.
It's one of my favorites.
It's a video game ass video game, I'll tell you that for free. Literally impossible to kick on command.
Probably has a good lunge attack if it works like DS2.
Yeah, so it has. So your weak attack lets you attack from behind guard, but I assume that does a damage reduction when you poke.
I'm not sure. Maybe. The problem with it is that because you're guarding, your stamina doesn't regen quickly.
It also eats more stamina, about half a bar more. Just tested it.
Poke with sting.
Yeah.
The classic caveman tactic.
A pretty good
So it's
one.
an option, but Yeah.
I'm just kind of surprised, like, you can't just leg sweep them or some shit.
Do you
Again,
think this is an anime?
Yes.
No, see, that's DS3.
you should watch HEMA videos, Kai. Open up your eyes a little bit to some of this shit.
I'm kind of afraid for you sending me that, so I'm gonna delete all my social now.
Yeah, like the real problem.
Like,
with
there's some
very
people that
much.
have like some really skewed thoughts on.
That last thing about what
Sometimes.
were we watching? The problems with TN or some shit.
No. It's like, I don't know. It's really, I don't know. Historical European martial arts stuff it's an odd subject. Especially when you're doing like mock battles versus if you're doing like one-on-one stuff. Like, it's a really interesting topic to me, but it's also like very difficult to kind of discuss contextually.
European martial arts.
Yeah, it's HEMA. It's historical European martial arts.
Oh.
It has to do with study of actual treaties and stuff that were produced at the time. Like, Game of Thrones is some kind of goofy shit, but when you're actually, like, if you remember season 1, the fencing teacher that the girl had, a lot of the stuff that they were actually doing in that is from, like, European treaties.
I have
Yeah,
no
that's
idea.
16th century small sword stuff, basically.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I've never watched Game of Thrones.
Not necessarily a small sword either. Like, some of the stuff they were doing is for longer weapons, although, like, kind of a big misnomer when people hear longsword. The idea that you, like, one-hand a longsword is misleading. The vast, vast majority of treaties show longswords being used two-handed. You can definitely use them
Yeah,
in one
but it
hand, but
can
you
be.
wouldn't use it with a shield. If you did use it with a shield, you'd have a small shield so that... Because there's just not enough space for you to be able to move with, like, a larger
You
shield.
can use a small longsword, like the Jon Snow's bastard sword is pretty small, so you can use that one, like an army sword.
But it's
kinda.
not like a bastard sword, though. it's called
It's
that.
pretty
It's an
small.
entirely different sword.
A bastard sword is pretty much interchangeable as a term with longsword.
But yeah, like, there's a lot of kind of interesting things that people put together for that. And then what I was saying is that the principle between dueling and organized fighting is very different as well.
And battles and war and civil combat, duels,
Shit.
etc.
Please don't die.
Like, it's actually, the Roman legionaries are like a super interesting topic to me, because like, I remember having a discussion with Nomura in CVHD Discord when we were playing, where I was like, because like, as those swords were ever the primary form of combat through most of history, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking
No.
about? They were for
Spears,
most of
bro.
like modern, well, I should say most of like the not ancient world, but like just outside of the ancient world. And
Well, yeah,
you say
but-
that, yes, the spears dominated the ancient world. And then the fucking Romans came and they were like, hey, check out these huge shields that we have, and we just rape you with our small swords. And then they're like, no, we're well-trained cavalry. And then they're like, yeah, we're kind of just guys that drill, but we can hold these shields in front of us and stab the shit out of you.
Or just run your ass over. And trample you to death and shit.
Like, the Roman Empire didn't fall from losing campaigns. They lost because they got too big, basically.
Too big, yeah.
That is something I remember from history class.
And there was no real response to their tactic either until pistols were invented. I mean, your closest
just wasn't
analog for a
really
successful... Your closest analog for a successful spear regimen of the time, or a similar time frame, would be, what, the Swiss pikemen? And even then, their tactic wasn't so much super strong as it was just their resolve. Like, imagine having like a line of 20 guys who literally just like about face, and then they just start walking forward with their pikes, like no hesitation at all. You know, they just go. That was more the strength of them. It wasn't in their weaponry.
Yeah, that's
They go
more
like, well, you have like
tactics.
Like, something that people like just completely mistake, I feel like, is the idea that they're like, oh, well, you know, the cross was or the sword was a sign of Christianity as well because it was
That's
supposed to
just
represent the cross. And
bullshit.
it's like, yeah, but it also was an effective weapon, or else people wouldn't have used them for thousands of years. If it wasn't an effective weapon, then anybody that was using them would be dead. And then it wouldn't get
But
carried
it,
on.
like the crossguard doesn't come from Christian cultures, so like it comes from Anglo-Saxon swords.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's
basically
There's weird
Vikings
shit.
that came from the north. Anyway, yeah, there's
Just
a lot
basically,
of
like,
misconceptions.
it's not just that. I meant more like people mistake that there's a reason why certain things were in use for hundreds of years. It wasn't because they were pretty or anything like that. It's because it fucking worked. Contextually for what the culture ran into.
Yeah,
That's very important
Sometimes
to keep in mind.
context does dictate stuff in a weird way. For example, the development of basket hilts
Yeah.
came about so late, basically because of the situation and the law and military and stuff like that. I need to review my saber. I keep delaying it because my camera is shit, but I just need to get up and do it someday.
Oh, I forgot you had a sword in your room. You were telling me about this a while ago. A long while ago.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
sure how I
it
feel
from
about
the-
this spear.
I remember one headline in high school. When I was in high school, some dude at a college, I believe it was San Jose State University. He was about his freaking dorm was getting robbed, and he just ran out with a fucking katana and started slashing at the dude.
Interesting.
I mean, any knife. Like a knife is a really dangerous weapon.
90% of the what's a slashing weapon called in English, like in the law term? Is it such a thing as cold weapon?
A blade?
Anyway, 90% of the bladed attacks everywhere are just like kitchen knives, so
Yeah.
they're pretty good.
Oh yeah, I know. I carry one every day.
A kitchen knife.
Oh, a pocket knife. A very multi-purpose knife.
I mean, I would say that one point in time where sword really starts to lose its luster is when you get into plate mail, but then again, spears aren't doing anything
Not
really to plate
really.
mail either, so...
But then the Montante and the longsword becomes a thing because of the two-handed treatises.
Yeah. But I mean, once... I'm talking about, like, Gothic plate armor where it was fully covering your body. Like, you weren't killing anybody with those swords. You might concuss them, but at that point, that's when you start getting into more...
When you get
Maces
the
and
Oakshot
Morningstar.
13, the pointy DS talks, the pointy longswords to go in between the gaps.
That's largely fictitious. Stabbing in
What do
between,
you mean?
like, have you seen the actual historical battle plate mail? You aren't
Well,
slashing in between the gaps. That's
And I'm not talking about slashing. I'm talking about
I meant
stabbing. That's why
even stabbing.
the-
That's not
the
happening.
latest evolution of the longsword is a spike, basically.
Right. And it still didn't fucking work. That's why they
Basically,
were
it didn't, yeah.
revising
That's why it got-
swords. That's why you were revising
Yeah.
swords so often during that time. What was more often happened was people would get exhausted, and then you'd knock them over, and then you'd like could do things with stabbing weapons, but like the parts that you would stab them in that people refer to, where they're like you could stab them in the armpit, you could stab them in some of the very few not plate bound places. The guy wearing the armor knows that those are places he can get hit. So and it's way easier for him to protect those than it is for you to hit them. So like
It was mostly grappling and, in certain situations, half swording.
yeah, but like your half swording usually turned into more bludgeoning them
Wrestling.
with your sword. You know what I mean? Like yeah, you could
Yeah,
still
but
concuss somebody. Like if you hit
Even
somebody in the
murder.
fucking head with the sword from the side where it doesn't have a good angle to slide off, you're still going to give them a concussion. But
Well, if you grab it like a murder stroke, then sure.
yeah.
Actually, the
That being
Witcher
said,
1 has a murder stroke finisher, which is kind of really cool to see.
one of the biggest things that kept the plate mail down was the cost. Like it costs so much to produce a piece of like any armor really, but plate mail especially, and you had to basically custom make it to fit the person.
Yeah, it was.
It's a huge
not everyone
investment.
had plate armor.
Johnny, zip, damn it. There we go.
It's a huge investment in resources to get one. There's actually some interesting research that had been... It was about 2 years ago that I'd heard this, but people were looking into the idea that chainmail might not have been actually as effective as just doing like a gambeson. Especially for cost effectiveness and ability to produce them rapidly. It was an interesting
Gambeson
thought.
is really good. It's like surprisingly how good it is.
I really like the way these guys look, even though they look a little goofy.
The shield is pretty cool. And the cape.
They got a lot of Golden Age guts in them, actually.
They do. A little bit of Roman influence as well. Let's see.
hmm This is also the game where you can straight up get Guts' sword. Again.
Again.
hmm
Is
This is
the
Golden
Berserk
Age.
guy?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's his Golden Age sword, which isn't as ridiculous, but
you really need to read Berserk. It's a very interesting case study also because, like, it's the progenitor of so many things. Like, if you read or watch Berserk, you're going to be like, oh, this trope thing. And then it's like, the reason why it's a trope is because basically Berserk did it first.
I need to figure out what the timeline is of all that stuff because I'm a little bit jumbled up.
Berserk's a very
Berserk's-
early manga.
it's really old.
As far as I can tell, I want to say is it early 80s? Maybe 70s? It's
Maybe.
really early.
I mean,
Point is like, you know the thing about the protagonist having the huge sword? Literally guts. The thing where, like, the cool guy has one eye either covered or one eye closed, that comes from guts.
89.
89. For
so
the
it's
original
my age,
run?
exactly.
The original run was 89, according to
Manga or anime?
manga.
Yeah, the anime.
What?
I could have sworn that the
Okay,
manga was
that's
way
weird.
earlier. But whatever.
So it's
Uh,
much newer than Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Then.
Correct.
Just... I was surprised to hear that Dragon Ball Z, the actual anime, is older than me. What the hell?
Dragon Ball is really
How
old.
long ago?
Like, especially when you go back to OG
I
Dragon
guess
Ball.
The weirdest, because I remember it as a new thing to me when I was a kid. So.
Yeah.
Remembered.
But also Berserk was like Was it the first time that there was like a dark fantasy manga? It had to be one of the
No.
first.
Well,
Like one
fantasy
of the
maybe.
very early. No, like dark fantasy.
Right, but I mean like you fantasy, yes. Because like Devilman's super old, and that would be like it's gonna
Yeah.
be dark and horror. But with the
forgot
fantasy
about
setting,
Devilman.
maybe?
Another one of Akira Toriyama's works,
No.
I think, right?
That'd be a fuck, what's his name?
The guy who did
Go
Astro Boy?
Nagai. That's Devilman.
Oh wait, there was just a Devilman in the original Dragon Ball from a different shit. Not from that character.
Yeah, actual Devilman.
Yeah.
72 was
Holy
Devilman.
shit.
Manga's really old, man. And it's got that, like, I want to say Astro Boy. What was that artist? I know that guy's name, I just can't remember it.
I don't either.
There's actually some really good American animation from the 80s. Like a few movies. That I've
Also
watched and
Disney.
I just don't know the names for.
Also,
Well,
Disney.
yeah, not Disney.
But I meant like something people
Yeah.
often overlook. Like, yeah, Disney is actually animation. It's really good.
I meant more gritty, more mature.
Watership Down. Am I thinking of the right thing there? I think so.
Oh, that shield dash. It's a lot of stamina.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what it's for, right? Okay.
You really don't roll ever. That's kind of surprising to see.
I'd be when I
Interesting
need to.
playstyle.
It's-
Eat fat rolls. It's got them
Would
fat
it be
rolls.
fat rolls? It's gonna be medium probably.
He might pull off a medium, but like, he has 2 shields on.
So,
Oh yeah.
so the big problem here is I see this bonfire,
Do you?
but I haven't seen any ability to get to it. I've only been
Oh,
going
the one back
away
there?
from it. So that must mean... Contextually, that means it's behind the dragon, is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
So,
What the hell, game?
I also have found a place for this mystery key.
Maybe.
Not yet.
No,
I
he
also
hasn't
noticed the
gotten
battle
to...
boar is gone. Didn't need to
Yep.
fight that again.
Poor battle boar.
Big bad battle boars. So my bigger concern here is that there's a guy on the side here. Alright. This guy has...
It's a big boy.
He has a mace. Okay. Okay. Any other people to the sides? None apparent. Now the next thing. You have a side path there. A side path there. Okay. What? What the fuck? What did I pull? Up top, I guess? Well, that solves some things for me. I'm gonna wait a couple minutes here to see if they come down.
Mm,
But if they...
I regret nothing.
Fuck. Okay, yeah, for sure. They're above me. So here's my big concern. If that guy's non-aggro. Oh, hi. Hello,
Oh.
random sorcerer dude.
oh, you got it. That
Totally love these dudes.
A really cool design. He's having a really hard time getting me in front of him though.
that guy doesn't usually fall off there.
He fell off for me too.
Hmm.
Now I'm curious if he was the only one.
He fell off in the Super Best Friends playthrough, and Wooly was doing the playthrough, I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
Except when they needed to level.
Then
I
it was
heard
all
I
Pat.
heard there's a huge jump in power at one point. Like they end a thing, and then like the next time they start playing, it's like fucking 50 soul levels higher or some shit.
Oh.
I didn't notice that.
Maybe that
Or it
was
may
in
not have
another
made it
Dark
that
Souls
far.
one.
I may not have made it that far, but it could have been.
Okay, yeah, that sucks. So this is an actual guy. Like I said, my huge concern was that this guy actually wasn't aggro, and I could have killed the NPC that I might have used. And I backstab. No. Or at least it wasn't letting me.
Nope. We're denied the easy strat.
Am I? See, I mean, I know they're trying to teach me to dodge and to parry, but I think I'd rather just kill him instead.
Why learn? You can just play.
Dominant strategy.
See, this is why they removed the shield in Bloodborne.
I figured they removed it in Bloodborne just because they were like, contextually for the time period, they wouldn't be necessarily carrying shields.
Well, that too. But they could have done whatever they wanted.
I mean, the fix for this is to make the shield way less useful, but the thing is, at that point, then you're just completely making shield a non-factor. Like, why
Yeah.
would you even use it?
Well, so Bloodborne actually has a shield. It's just a dinky plank shield. And like, you get hit with it and it consumes all of your stamina, but it does greatly reduce what damage you take from that hit. So it's garbage, but it exists.
Ah! I thought I was close enough to interrupt that. I should have just power attacked. Okay. Caught me by surprise there. Good one, game. Fortunately, now that I know that this guy can do a double, that's going to actually slow this down even more. Backing off, though, which makes me think he's trying to S us.
Now it's Alex gone.
The Discord died for him, I guess.
Well, he wasn't AFK that long. Like I was. Though.
Okay. Assuming he's going to try to S us again here. So I do need to stay close to him. Okay.
I'm gonna get up for a bit. I'll be right back.
Alright.
Got him. And that's a normal enemy. Firekeeper Soul. Firekeeper is a manifestation of her bonfire and drop on the humanity which is offered to her. Her soul is not made. So yeah. Seems okay. That's not what I wanted to do.
Alright, chapter 11 said Hollow. Apparently, it would just like to disconnect my controller though.
Firelink Shrine. Oh, so now I've got a new shortcut. Interesting.